Good evening. Oops, volume is a little too loud. How's that? Okay. Let me move my windows around a little bit. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Well, this is a surprise stream, actually. And I see we already have some people online in chat. Thank you, everybody. We have Ink Blaster and Nick Tyler. And Titus is there. And we have a lot to talk about today. And let me just do a few housekeeping things. I need to make sure the Discord folks know I'm live. Okay, I'm on camera. And just let me know if there are any audio problems. Okay, I think a Tablet Kitten has joined us in chat as well. Okay. So, I need one more thing, don't I? Give me just 1 second. I need to get my earbuds. Okay, I am back. Okay, so remember what we do on this channel. We do tablet archaeology. We find out what's happening. We dive deep into the substrates, into the different layers and the strata, and we try to figure out what's actually happening, how things work. And lately we've been talking a lot about what might be coming. We have known for at least a couple of months now that Wacom was going to release new pen displays, new Cintiq models. We knew that, of course, because we saw some information on FCC registration information. So we knew three pen displays are coming and a pen computer also, an Android-based one. Well, today, I can't say it's all happening so quickly. Wacom actually revealed, they have not launched everything, but they've revealed the existence of some of these new tablets. So we're going to go over what we found, and there have been at least one sort of article published. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at any videos Wacom has published, and we've got people talking about things in the Discord, so we'll cover everything we can. What the models are, what we know about their resolutions, whether they support touch or not, their prices, which pen they come with, resolution, how they might compare to the equivalent models or similar models from Huion and XP Pen. So we'll see. Personally, I think I'm very excited, and let me just tell you why. The last set of pen displays we got from Wacom, besides the Moving, before we got the Cintiq Pros. Now, I think a lot of us were surprised at the new cost structure, meaning prices of the Cintiq Pros. The Cintiq Pro 27, which launched in November of 2022, cost, $3,500 without a stand, and the stand is $500. Cintiq Pro 22 cost $3,000. Cintiq Pro 17 cost, how much was it? Yeah, just $2,500. And just in comparison's sake, the previous Cintiq 16 from 2021 cost something like $1,200. And that I used to think was an expensive 16-inch pen display, and now I realize that actually seems cheap in comparison to the new Cintiq Pros. well, these aren't Cintiq Pros, these are Cintiqs, but let's see how they compare and if they might be a better alternative, which I think they will be for a lot of you, than the previous Cintiq Pros. Because these are not the Pro lines, but as is typical of the Cintiq line, the non-Pro line, they have a lot of the Pro features. So let's take a look. Let me just take a quick look at the chat. And people are just chatting a little bit. Okay, so the first thing we have to see is what did Wacom actually reveal? And we'll check I found this out just because I saw they have a Wacom channel, of course, on YouTube. They also have a Wacom, I think it's WCL channel. I'm not sure what the name really stands for, but it's their Japanese channel. It has really different content from the normal channel we all think of. So let's go there and take a look. Give me just 1 minute because I have to set things up here to do that, taking a look. And what's the easiest way for me to do this? I think it's probably this. I'm going to use a separate computer to demo. Let me change its position so it'll be a little easier. And let me just stay hydrated. Is everyone hearing me correctly? If you are, just please say yes in the chat. I just want to make sure I am doing okay for everybody. Okay. So, one more thing. Okay, I think you can, sorry. By the way, do you like my fit today? I took a little bit of a risk. I went pink shirt with this kind of gray jacket. I really should get a white jacket. That way I could complete a kind of Miami Vice look. Little Don Johnson look. Okay, thank you, Titus, for confirming the sound's working okay for you. And let's see, how do I share? How do I share? I think this should be, there we go. Okay, I should be sharing now. And look at this, PowerPoint's popping up. Everything's popping up. Don't worry, we'll get there. Nick, the mysterious Japanese Wacom channel. What happens in Japan stays in Japan. Thank you, Ink Blaster. I appreciate the comments. I was just saying on the Discord, I love dressing up for these videos. First of all, it just puts me in a different mood. I feel more energetic. I just find it a little, it's a little silly, and I just feel a little bit more playful. But I also feel a little more professional, almost like I'm broadcasting. Let's see, Talbot Kitten says, well, you haven't seen Wacom's Chinese Bilibili account. Maybe we'll take this stream as an opportunity to visit there, Talbot Kitten. Okay, where do we want to go to? Let me just show you what I discovered, and I pasted the link in the Wacom subreddit, so let me just get there. Reddit, and it's actually on, not Drawing Tablet, well, Wacom. Okay, so now I don't read or speak Japanese. I'm just going to show you what the video, we'll just go through it, quickly. I just want to make sure that we, again, are just on the same page with what was announced first. So this is the first thing I noticed. So it just says Cintiq 16 now. Let me just pause it real quick. Oops, I don't want more videos. Okay, so let me tell you the first thing, because this video, when I first watched it, I thought maybe, oops, where's my, you want to see me there? Hang on, let me get my picture-in-picture working. How's that? Can I do that? There we go. Okay. So when this video came out, I was a little confused at first because I actually thought they were announcing just the new Wacom Cintiq 16. But as you can see implicitly from the this little subtitle, they actually are launching 3 tablets, 3 pen displays. And it's the Cintiq 16, the Cintiq 24, and the Cintiq 24 Touch. So we're getting much bigger models. I will tell you, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was a little disappointed that we did not get a 22-inch size because, you know, I think that's my favorite size. Selfishly, I hope they were, you know, I hoped that they were going to launch one of those as well. But that's okay. So let's just go on quickly, and we'll just, you know, we'll go through the video little bit by little bit, and then we'll talk about what's been published. Right. So as someone pointed out, they're integrated legs, which is nice. Right. Now you notice something here, what is this? I am not sure what this is. I think that may be a pen holder. We'll see. We'll see if they reveal it. We'll find out. There's actually an article somewhere. It's definitely sticking out. If you saw a few seconds ago, you can see it's definitely sticking out from the side. You can even see it from this angle. So it's big. It isn't like one of the legs or something. It's something else. Pro Pen 3 comes with it. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah. Now I understand. Because I saw one of these screenshots. It is a holder for the pen that attaches from the side. And the pen goes into it. And let me replay this. Because it's just kind of a little unusual to see what just happened here. Okay, so it's a bottom, and you can, I guess you can kind of like a throttle. Different ways of connecting the power. It says that they would. That looked nice. I like the stand actually. They're the different models. So it's a little short. It doesn't feel much. That's what it said, but there's much more that we can see in other sources. They have documentation published. They have a bunch of videos apparently published now on their English channel. Maybe we'll watch that as well. And some other, all sorts of videos published. And again, I think we have an article on PetaPixel or some site talking about it. And let's just take a look at the comments. Oh, the video was playing and you couldn't hear me over the video. Sorry about that. Sorry. You're hearing the video when I play it? Is that correct? I'm going to just quickly play it again. I see. Sorry. My fault. I apologize for that. I didn't have the playthrough button, so I wasn't hearing what you were hearing. Okay. Anyway, thank you for that, helping me out with that one. Pedo, I apologize again for everyone's. Maybe I blasted it too loud. I appreciate your patience. Let's see. Ink Blaster called it the pen chamber. Yeah, it's a weird design. Nick, yeah. You know, there are things I want. How can I say this? Companies try to innovate in certain areas on their product. I really feel like they don't need to innovate on pen holders that attach to the tablet. I don't think that's something we're strongly, really obsessed with as drawing tablet fans. Probably they should focus on something else. Appreciate the energy. Wish they'd probably put it towards something else, okay? Because it just gets, you know, why focus on that topic? But I am glad we see things like integrated legs, etc. And sorry, yeah, it does look like a shifter, doesn't it? Maybe, this is a joke, folks, don't take this seriously. Maybe, you know, if you push the pen up into fourth gear or something, you'll get 8,000 levels of pressure, but in first gear, it's only 1,000. That's a joke. Don't take that seriously. Let's see. Titus says, I hope it's designed in a way that it won't damage the pen if you knock it horizontally. Yeah, that's a great point. I am a little scared of that. I am a kind of clumsy person, so I'm the first person who would hit it laterally like this, and I would be scared that it would, knock the tablet off or snap something. I'd be a little scared about that myself. Inv says my old school desk had a pen holder like that. Really? That's interesting. I've never seen a holder like that. I can imagine one that was at the side that's, had a slot for the pen, but not something that you rotated. That seems unusual. Again, look, it's easy to sit here for me and to criticize the design. And again, I do think there are better things they can focus on. But let's see how it works. Pirate Lego, they did mention the resolution in the presentation video. I'll be talking about that, the exact resolutions. In short, the 16 is like WQHD, and the 24s are like 4K. And actually, one more thing, we'll get there in a minute, but the 16 is actually not 16 by 9, it's 16 by 10. I don't know what the 24 inches are, so we'll see. Anything that can be broken will be broken. That's why I don't like attaching protruding, flimsy plastic things, says Nick Tyler. Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster to have something sticking out of a device like this. Because it's going to get hit. You're right. It's going to get hit and it's going to get broken. Titus, the little piece of plastic attached to the side tablet is a lot cheaper than a full pen stand. Also, the pen attacher is already showing on the Wacom store for $100. Okay, $100. At least you haven't dropped the tablet face flat on the tile floor. Tablet Kitten, is this something you did? If so, let us know. Hopefully your tablet was not damaged. Okay, let's take a look at their store and their website, and let's just see, because I just showed you this video, because that's how I discovered this topic, okay? So let's just see what's going on here. And I have a PowerPoint also, and I'll take some notes to put together so we know what we're doing. Okay, so let me just start a new empty PowerPoint here. You can tell this is an unrelated topic, but I'll just reuse this. I'll just call this Wacom. I'm gonna find a different way for the mic to sit. Cintiq 16 launch. Cintiq. I'm gonna call it Cintiq 2025. Launch. Okay, and I'll take notes here, and then when I do the actual video, we can come and see the resolution, price, etc., okay? Okay, we have another comment here. Mark Lorenzo, hope Huion follows a release to display. Yes. I mentioned so many times in my streams and my videos, they've had a great success with their pen displays and their new PenTech 4.0 technology featuring the PW600 series of pens. They really got to get PenTech 4.0 PW600 pens into screenless tablets, pen displays. They've got to do that. Hopefully they'll do it this year, before this year is out. I think it's critical, actually. Tablet Kitten, this is relating to the dropping. My UG had LED unevenness after that. I think you got lucky that the LED was just uneven. I would have expected the glass to have cracked and everything to just broken. EMR was fine. Looks like it's not OLED, Rain-Soaked Puppy says. I would have considered that to be something that they could have distinguished themselves with from competitors. Yeah, that's interesting, right? That they didn't go OLED, because you're right. They could have distinguished themselves. Having said that, it's not a big loss. I've used the Move Ink. I've also used, which is OLED. I've used the Sense Labs Pen Display 16, which is OLED. And yet, the contrast is better, but I would say it didn't have a dramatic improvement in my workflow. For some people, it's going to be super important, but the really deeper blacks didn't change much of my day-to-day experience. Tablekin says, no updates from Huion about PenTech 4.0 pen tablet. I hope they're saving it up for something in June or July or something. I want to see it. Can't see thin bezels, at least not moving style for sure. Yeah, I'm curious. These bevels don't seem particularly thin, but or thick. I mean, they're thinner than historical Cintiqs, I think. Okay, let's go to the Wacom site and just see what's up. Okay, what have they revealed for us? Okay, so they have actually on their main site, dive into creativity, vibrant, high-resolution pen displays that feel, I'm just reading their copy, that feels natural as pen on paper. Nothing ever feels like pen on paper, okay? Available in 16-inch and 24-inch sizes, includes Wacom Pro Pen 3, 60-degree tilt, and 3 programmable side switches. That wasn't obvious from the video. Let's click. Would you like to learn more? Yes, I would like to learn more. I'm trying to click learn more. Okay, dive into creativity. What do you think of the bezels here? If I had to guess with my eyes, I would say they're about, I don't know, three quarters of an inch, maybe less, maybe an inch. Depends on the size, maybe. I'm not sure. Tablet Kitten says, if there were to be a new tablet from Huion, it would most likely be around the end of the year. Okay. Well, yeah, as long as I think they do something in 2025, especially to catch, at least from the US perspective, the holiday buying season, I think that would be great. Mark Lorenzo says, I'm tempted to buy the Canvas 13 Gen 3 just to make it in pen tablet mode, cheaper than Wacom Intuos Pro with the added bonus of a screen. Yeah, you know, that's a fantastic point. I had not considered that. Sometimes I have considered doing this with large pen displays because they provide such a large active area. But I've only occasionally done that with a pen display to make it into a pen tablet by essentially turning off the display. Let's see, Tablet Kitten says, launching a month or two before year end is usual. Okay, good. That's good to know that. Body looks nice. Bare minimum bezel would be comfortable. Yeah, I think I could live with this. You know, this bezel. I know we're in the middle of Bezelgate with the Intuos Pro 2025, but I think people have adapted to the smaller bezels of these pen displays. Okay, let's take a look. I'll just go ahead and take a look at the Cintiq 16 first. Actually, let me go back. And let's just take a few notes here. So, does anyone watch car videos? There's a guy named Doug DeMoro, and he's very funny actually, but he does a lot of car reviews. And I think he says anytime he gets a car, he could evaluate all the numbers, but he actually introduces this segment every video by saying, you know, we're going to look at the 2025 Honda Accord and its quirks and features. And I think I'm just going to borrow that title, quirks. I think it says quirks and features. Definitely quirks. Quirks. So I think the first quirk is that pen holder. Pen holder that looks like a car shifter. That is an unusual pen holder. Okay, that's a quirk and feature. Quirks and features. Is that right, Titus? Let's see. Oh, so many people are having comments here. I think the body of the tablet looks pretty nice. Looks high-end. Probably the bare minimum bezel will be comfortable. What happened with SenseLabs though? What do you mean, Lorenzo? Did maybe a little more context with that comment would help. Do you like the new Cintiq Pro line with thin bezels or the classic 24 Pro with thick ones? You know, I cannot fairly answer because I never used that 24-inch model with those really thick bezels. So I can't fairly compare. I've only used the Cintiq Pros or Cintiqs with relatively thin bezels. In fact, the pen display I have with the widest bezels are Artist Pro 24 Gen 2 model from XP Pen, which has a relatively wide bezel for a pen display. I didn't mind it. I will say I can understand why people like it on a pen display, because especially since a pen display is in the air, it's some, there is a real place to rest your forearm on and your wrist on. So I do appreciate it. Though of course it makes the thing really just so present on your desk, in your face. Harris says, Wacom needs to release a new art pen before new Cintiq. The current range is fine. Pen technology would be a good thing for Wacom to innovate on or re-innovate. Apple introduced barrel rotation, what they call barrel roll, in their with their new pen, and frankly, art pen, I think it's called the Pencil Pro, and I'm hoping that motivates Wacom to bring back barrel rotation. Don't get me wrong, I don't even use tilt. I mean, it's exceptionally rare that I use tilt. I never use barrel rotation, and I did try. I just don't draw in a way, my method of drawing, my style doesn't use that. Some people need it though, and I think if you're going to call yourself the leader, you need to bring it back, okay? Or, as far as I can tell, they're not making the art pen. At least they should revive making the art pen, or bringing its number of pressure levels up or something with a new model. Rain-Soaked Puppy says, translating the description under the real video mentions something called anti-glare processing. I wonder if that's just a marketing thing or some kind of actual active visual canceling. I suspect it's not processing. Like, it's not like some processor is like looking at data and doing something. I suspect it's just the standard, etched glass anti-glare treatment or some kind of anti-reflective treatment. And don't get me wrong, Wacom has really good anti-glare treatments. Very low anti-glare sparkle, incredibly low, even at super fine resolutions. So they do a good job already. I have no complaints about that. The Intuos Pro 2025 feels fine unless I'm clicking in the bottom right corner. Got to put my hand on the tablet. Yeah, it's funny. I never thought I liked large bezels until I noticed the Intuos Pro 2025, or I tried it out. Car shifters are sturdy metal rods. SenseLabs just announced a new pen tablet. If I recall, Titus, that is correct me if I'm wrong, it's basically a version of their existing model that uses the newer V2 pens. I don't know any more details than that about that new pen tablet. Okay, so let's take a look here. The Cintiq Pro, sorry, I somehow got the Cintiq Pro. I did not mean to do that. Sorry, let me go back to, you weren't seeing what I'm seeing. No, I don't want to sign up and save. Okay, so first of all, this is the DTK 168. So I'm going to note that in the PowerPoint. Okay, let me just put the model. I'll duplicate the slide. Models. Okay. So Wacom Cintiq 16 is DTK 168. When we know, because it says K instead of H, that it's not touch. There's no touch here. Okay. And we'll get to the other ones here. Okay, so $700. $700. $700. I have to be honest, I'm okay with that price. I really am. I honestly, because we had discussed this in the Discord a couple of times, what should we expect from Wacom for the prices for these? I honestly thought this was going to be $1,000 tablet, at least, honestly. And I think there's a credible argument to be made why they could charge that much. I feel like $700 is a decent price for getting a Wacom, right? I'm curious if you think that's a little too much. The V2 of the medium. Titus, an update to 24-inch display tab would be nice. Yes. let's see. Nick says he's been working with the new a fancy new brush set for Photoshop with tilt. Tilting to rotate feels awkward. Same for me. And you know, tilting and also barrel rotation, they add 2 more degrees of freedom you have to adjust to. So if you just want sort of relatively consistent lines, tilt and barrel rotation just give you more to worry about, right? I would agree in some cases barrel rotation is more intuitive. I would agree with that, Nick. Tablet Kitten says, guessing that it seems like a small update to the Sense Labs digitizer. I'm curious about that. I want to get that tablet. Is it available to order now? Because I'd like to try it out. Oh yeah. You'd like improvement to the pressure scan, right, Tablet Kitten? See in the Discord, they're saying $700 seems reasonable, and I agree. Look, what's the price for the Huion Canvas 16 Gen 3? It's $600, I believe. Okay, let's double check that. Let's double check that. Pen display, Canvas 16. Doesn't show me everything. This is the one, 16 Gen 3. How much is it? And it's a decent tablet. Okay, it was $500, but now it's on discount for $470. So think about this: for there's $100 difference in the tablets. Okay, $100 difference. So let me just write that down. The Canvas 16 Gen 3 is $500. For some reason, in my head it was $600. I'm not sure why I thought that. And these are the U.S. prices pre-tax. Let me write that. So in the Discord, they also, just for reference, they mentioned that the Huion Canvas Pro 19 is what? Let's just say about $950. Okay. Is that on sale though, Otnus? I'm curious. Oh, I'm not sure he's on the chat. Let me put a question mark there. Actually, I'll just answer this question myself, since I'm right on that page. Let's go back here. Canvas Pro 19 is listing now for how much? Okay, so normally $1,100 according to the website, but discounted to $950. Let's get back here. So it's normally $1,100. I'll give these sort of like normal price, okay? So, if you compare these two prices, then I think this is competitive. I think this means it's highly competitive. And remember, Cintiqs have a lot of attributes as Cintiq Pros. So I think this is a good step. Okay, what else can we learn from Wacom here? Let's take a look. Let's just take a look at some of these pictures. Now, you can't tell much from pictures. Again, we see the integrated legs. And then we see... Hey, I'm happy we're getting legs. Remember what happened with the new Wacom One Pen displays when we got no legs, instead these two little semi-discs you have to buy separately, which I was not a huge fan of, and I refused to buy them. So I'm just going to write this down. This has integrated legs. Let's see. Wow, chat is really busy today. Era barrel roll isn't a must-have. Apple Pencil Pro, I think, feels very good. I think it's excellent, though. People are very divided in their opinions on this. I know some people hate it, and some people really like it. I really like it, though I do like, the way EMR pens work with their buttons and things better. Mark Lorenzo says, still 3 gram force, initial activation force from Sense Labs. 3 gram force is good. I think we should realize that it's actually good. And there are actually downsides of having really low IAF. Huion Pentec is Pentec 4 is 2 gram IAF. Yeah, I think they are lower, though I have a hard time distinguishing it. I'm not so good at measuring IAF, so I hope to use this as something I can test this year. The reality is, and this is just, I guess, manufacturing / statistics, right? Let's suppose someone says, we'll pick IAF here, of course, that something for all their pens is 3 gram force. I don't know what they do, but the reality is what I expect is there's kind of like a normal distribution, where if you measured 1,000 pens, 70-something percent of 68% of them would fall within plus or minus 1 gram force of that value. Okay, like half their pens are maybe even less than that, and half are slightly above that. So there's always like this kind of a distribution. They're never really exact. So I'm sure there are Huion pens and XP Pen pens whose initial activation force is advertised at 3 gram force, but it's actually lower. But they could be actually higher as well. I think Wacom has very, what's the right word? I don't know, I don't want to use the word tolerances because I'm not sure if I have the right definition for that. But I think with Wacom, they're very consistent about the pressure behavior of their pens. It's, okay, $450 on sale. I think you're talking about the Canvas 16, right? Canvas 16, are you talking about the Canvas 16 Gen 3, Mark Lorenzo? Because that's good. That's really good. And it's, let's see. Meki says, looking at the new stand on the back reminds me of common tablet stands you've seen in Chinese drawing displays. Does it look like that, really? Do you mean by that maybe it looks a little flimsy, maybe? Because they look thinner than I expect. I'd expect slightly thicker legs. That's the one thing that surprised me, at least visually, when I saw the video. And so, yeah, Nick, you know what I'm talking about. Controlling in so many different degrees of freedom is really hard, right? That's why actually I'm very careful when I use a brush. I actually make sure it's not using tilt, and if it is, I turn off tilt. Mekis says the new Cintiq 24 I saw on PetaPixel. Yeah, we found someone sending the link. We're going to take a look at that once we get through a little bit more on the Wacom site. So let me get back there. And what I'm looking for is any more information here. Okay, here's the resolution. Okay, and I'll copy and paste it into the PowerPoint for you. Oops. Let's paste text. So it's, I always forget these code names for resolutions. It's WQXGA, which is 2560 by 1600, and that means its aspect ratio, AR, is 16 by 10, which I like, right? It's it's unusual for Wacom. I can't recall a 16 by 10 pen display that they've made in any time recently, but I like 16 by 10, and the XP Pen Artist Pro 16 Gen 2 is 16 by 10. And also, one thing I noticed about it is it actually feels like you have a bigger tablet. It feels nice to draw, and I actually prefer it. So that is nice. Rain-soaked puppy, looking at the included pen. This is the Pro Pen 3. I'm not sure I am a fan of how slender they are. They look like something that would get very uncomfortable for someone with larger hands. So I have slightly larger hands, maybe. So this Pro Pen 3, of course, is modular, though I don't think you get the modular bits with this tablet. And so you can add a grip to it. But I'll say, I actually thought I hated these really thin pens. It's not super thin. It's thin enough, though, that I felt it was comfortable. In fact, I have removed all the grips from my Pro Pen 3 models, and I'm just using them without the grip, just as the thin pen. I actually prefer it. They will be happy to sell you the accessories separate. Yeah, they certainly will. I wonder how much those grips cost. Does anyone here use Huion Key Dial Mini? Unfortunately, I've never used it, Nick, so I can't comment on it. Canvas 16 Gen 3's about $350 USD. If I convert from Philippine peso, Canvas 13 Gen to, I think you mean Canvas 13 Gen 3. Oh, wow. Wow, okay. That's interesting. That's 16 inches discounted that much. That surprises me, honestly. Hera, I have to admit that even though I do like the Pro Pen 3, I actually fall back to the Pro Pen 2 way more often than I use the Pro Pen 3, even on these newer models. That's the truth. Okay, let's see. What else can we learn here? I'm going to increase the size of this. Sorry, I just want to make sure everyone can see what's said here. Okay. 99% DCI-P3, 100% sRGB coverage, sure. 8,000 pressure levels. They're not. What did I always tell you? Don't buy into the pressure level hype. You don't need 8,000. You certainly don't need 16,000. 60-degree tilt support, 3 programmable side switches. This is interesting. That wasn't obvious from the video at all. Uh, 12 millisecond response time. That's interesting. Can someone remind me what is expected these days of a normal monitor for response time? As I understand, they are supposed to be really a much smaller number. So I don't understand why we're getting 12 milliseconds on pen displays on drawing tablets. A little bit unusual for me. Let's see, Nick likes the Pro Pen 2 also. Titus says that color coverage is better than you expected. Okay, well, okay. Let me just make sure I capture that here. Where does it say that? Anything? I'm going to just capture this part too. Okay, and I'm going to change the slide format to be slightly different, so it'll be a bit easier for me to type things in. There we go. I'll keep the reference stuff here. So I'll say this is the 16-inch model. Eight-bit color depth. I bet you there's a better page for this than what I'm looking at right now. So I'll just read through the rest, and if anything pops up, we'll see. Designed for comfort, fold-out legs. For even more ergonomic versatility, an optional stand available separately. So probably that means it's VESA mountable. So we'll have to confirm that. VESA? Or, by the way, is it VESA or Visa? I never know. I say VESA because it sounds elegant. Tablekin says for office displays they're about 15 milliseconds. So this isn't bad for an office display. But for a monitor, it'd be like, and maybe I'm mistaken, wouldn't it be like 5 milliseconds? Mark says, meanwhile, Wacom Intuos Pro, the old one, has not gone down in price in my country. I don't know if I should wait or just get the Canvas 13 Gen 3. That is a dilemma, indeed. Let's see. Okay. Now, getting back to the Cintiq. By the way, none of this, they've announced these, but they're not on sale yet. Like if I try to buy them, I won't be able to. I'll click on it just to see if they're in the store, but No, we saw it already. We saw it's already. Now let's take a look at the Cintiq 24 and the 24 Touch. And we'll take a look at the PetaPixel ones too, okay? The PetaPixel article, I mean. 24. Anything interesting here? Oh, so this is not a 4K display. In fact, it has a different resolution than the 16. Sorry. It has a different aspect ratio and resolution. Similar resolution. This is 2560 by 1600, so 16 by 10. The 24-inch model is 256 by 1440, which means its aspect ratio is 16 by 9. That's what I expect, but it's unusual that the 16 has a 16 by 10 and the 24 has 16 by 9. Is anyone else feeling like that's a weird thing or not? Titus says, PetaPixel article sets 290 nits. Let me write that down. Brightness, 290 nits. Let me put that, this is from PetaPixel. Anything else here? Everything else looks about the color depth. We'll look at the PetaPixel article in just a second. Here, I'll just see if there's anything else of interest. This mentions VESA compatibility explicitly, so that's good. VESA, yes. And there's a stand. Okay, and let's take a look at I won't look at the 24 Touch. Let's just assume it's the same thing, okay? For now, we'll assume. Let's take a look at the Wacom channel, because I believe someone mentioned they're publishing more videos, some of them in English. Now this time, I think I can get the volume correct, okay? YouTube. There's nothing on the English channel yet. Not in videos, not in shorts. They certainly don't have anything live going on right now. Let's try Wacom WCL. I would love to know what WCL stands for. That may be too loud. Let me turn it down. You just let me know if there's anything weird about the audio. Okay, so there's a bunch of videos now. There's a bunch of videos. A bunch. You can take a look at the timestamps 2 hours ago, right? All the way up to the release video here, because the previous one's about 3 weeks ago. So this is the one I showed you. This is let's take a look at this. Very angle pen stand. Okay. Snap it in. I guess you rotate it a little bit to click in. You know, when I first saw this, I thought it was an antenna. What is that? You snap? Oh, I see. I guess it stores nibs. They took off a little cap there. You know what? I realized my music is playing at the same time. So that may be confusing to have both going at the same time. Let's play now. Okay, sure. The nibs and whatever. What else do we have here? Cintiq 24 unboxing. These are all short little videos, so we'll just take a look at what's going on. Yeah, we saw that. I'm just pressing it to go faster. Okay, what I expect. Multiple ports back here. Looks like a USB. Okay, so it can work with USB-C. One cable, if your computer has a port that works that way. Now, someone mentioned to me in the Discord that this might be a mini HDMI. Because if this is HDMI, notice it should be much bigger than this USB-C. Or maybe my eyes aren't picking it up correctly. Yeah, it is mini HDMI. Wow. That surprises me. Like, why bother? Why bother with that? It just creates... No one has mini HDMI anymore. Okay, let's take a look at a few comments. Patrick McPatterson says, it wouldn't be ideal for gaming, but 12 milliseconds is perfectly fine. Yeah, I don't game much. For me, it's okay. 16 is more interesting to me than 24-inch spec-wise. Okay, interesting. There are very few 16 by 10, 600p monitors that aren't laptop size. That's right. They seem to be more of a laptop resolution. Maybe they had issues sorting 16 by 10 panels. It's not common to find them. Yeah, it's unusual to see them. Like, again, I'm not complaining. Because I like it. It's just unusual, especially for Wacom. Now, this is something, by the way, I think I like that Wacom does this. And by this, what I mean is let me hide this comment. This meaning they give you 3 ports. So you can sort of use a single cable if your computer supports it, or you can, connect all 3. And I like it because it gives you a lot of flexibility in how you're going to connect. The only thing slightly maybe disappointing here is the mini USB port on this device. First of all, this is the 24-inch. It's not like they're lacking space. It makes me wonder if the reason they picked the mini HDMI. It makes me wonder if the reason they did this is just for keeping the tablet thinner rather than any other reason. Yeah, there we go. See, this is the equivalent of the 3-in-1 cable. It's just 3 cables.
Yes.
Right. It looks clean. By the way, oh yeah, let me go back there. Did you notice something? I know this is a small detail. This is just a flat back. I know, forget the stand for a second. The Cintiq Pros have a, what do you call it? They just have a weird shape because of the buttons on the sides. You can't put them flat on the desk. This looks like you can do it. In fact, notice on the corners, there are these, it looks like there are rubber pads. So it looks like it would be designed to fit on something flat. And I think that's a good decision. Now, I don't know how the cables would work in that case, because there's no slot for them. They'll have to, but this is okay. This is okay. I like this. These also help, I think, probably when you're putting it at an angle flat on the desk. I think, because XP Pen does that quite nicely with their pen displays, their Pro pen displays. Yeah, and this is just the VESA mounting of the... See, it's pretty clean. Okay, that's cool. Let's see. Rain-Soaked Puppy mentions that they just checked, and the modest Acer gaming monitor has a 0.5 millisecond. Am I reading that correctly? 0.5 millisecond response time. Wow. Let's see. And Titus says, PetaPixel says it's 290 nits. I'll note that. Thank you. Thank you, Titus. Brightness, 290 nits. Oh, I went backwards in comments here. You think it's because they can sell us cables? It could be. They love making us buy accessories, don't they? The mini HDMI might be for enterprise applications. On the Japanese side, they mentioned a model for business medical use. I guess I'm missing the connection between enterprise applications and mini HDMI, because is there like, are there certain sort of enterprises where it's just prominently used? And the way you're writing it makes me think that it might be more popular in a physician's office, for example. This thing is not portable, so no reason for attaching all those crutches to display, which lives fixed on the table. Good point. I think you can have it flat with the rubber feet. King Dump says, is this Cintiq different from the Pro line? Yes, it is. This is the non-Pro Cintiq, but they have a lot of the same features as the Pro line. So they cost less. They use the Pro pens. I think this will be highly competitive for anyone looking for a Wacom product, but doesn't want to pay, $2,000 for one, or as much as Wacom normally charges. So I think these are going to be very well received by people. Might need to look into more detail in the differences between the screen specs, because the 16 is 1400 by 1 contrast, and the 24. Okay, let me just write that down. So this is a contrast is 1000 to 1. Since we're doing all this, I will go ahead and get to the PetaPixel article. What was that, 1400 to 1? Okay, let's find that. Can someone paste the PetaPixel article either in the Discord or in the chat, and I'll go get there, and I'll search myself. It would help to have a faster way of getting there. Let me turn my music back on. I always have to have music. Yeah, there we go. PetaPixel. Okay, I'm looking for anything that says Wacom here. Someone pasted it. Let me get there. Give me a second. This is in the general. Thank you so much, Titus, for pasting that. I appreciate it so much. Okay, let's get back to the demo. Wacom's new Cintiq pen displays slimmed down on size and price. They do look thinner, I will say that. And they mentioned the price, okay? So what do we notice here? Ads. Let's skip all the marketing hype and let's focus on realities, okay? Okay, I have to talk about a little bit of the marketing hype. According to Wacom, the new Cintiqs will offer a more responsive and precise pen feel, thanks to enhanced sampling rates and pressure sensitivity. Well, we saw that the response, the report rate of the Intuos Pro was like 300 reports per second. So there is some evidence that I think that's what they're talking about, sampling rates. Pressure sensitivity, don't know what that means. I don't think it's got a lower IAF, and I don't think it's got a wider pressure range, so not sure what that means. As I've said it, I couldn't detect any difference in the drawing experience in the Intuos Pro 2025 and the 2027, so with the Pro Pen 2 or 3, it made no difference. You gotta install uBlock for these ads. I'm always, the thing is, I'm scared of uBlock. I don't know, maybe it's just my paranoia. I always feel like it's going to interfere in some way. Albert OG, is the new 16 screen laminated? We're not sure yet. We didn't see it listed. We'll check. We'll check. That's a good question. Remind me if we don't get into it, or if I don't talk about it. Titus says, I think it is laminated based on this article. Wacom page says it's a bonded display. Yeah, that sounds like lamination. And let me just make sure everyone's on the same page what lamination means, because this gets people have a misconception, so I'll just say it to repeat it. Lamination is a word that gets misinterpreted a lot. So lamination means to make something like behave like it's one layer, okay? Like it's smooth, right? I think laminar just means smooth. And like laminar flow. In the olden days, when I say olden days, I don't mean pre-COVID. I mean just, there used to be a lot of pen displays where you have the LCD panel, the display panel, and the glass is above it, but there's just air between them, just air. And bugs can get into that space. And I've seen that. I've shown pictures of that. And also, as light travels through these different layers, it gets moved around in weird ways. And on top of it, they say it increases the distance between the glass and where you're writing and the display panel. So lamination means instead of air, they fill that air area, that space, with OCA, optically clear adhesive. So they're gluing the glass to the display panel, okay? And that together behaves like one thing. That's the laminate, I guess. And that's what lamination means. And the benefit of lamination is reduced parallax, which is an apparent inaccuracy due to viewing angles, okay? That's the theoretical benefit of lamination. Also, it means that theoretically bugs shouldn't be able to climb in between the glass and the display panel because there's just, it's filled in with something, okay? Now, having said all that, that's the theoretic benefit. And some people misinterpret laminate because I don't have it with me, but people have cards, like, ID cards, whatever, driver's licenses, and they get them laminated, which means they're covered by a layer of plastic on top and bottom, so they're more durable. Some people think lamination means, oh, there's a plastic film on top of the glass. No, that's a completely different topic. That is called having a plastic film on top of the glass. Lamination means there's a glue between the glass and the display panel. Just want to make sure everyone's on the same page there. Direct bonding, yeah, with little parallax. These days, though, I think I've even seen some unlaminated displays that have the air gap that actually have, the parallax is not that noticeable. But in theory, it's the best thing to get is a laminated display. Okay, they mentioned the 3 side switches. Again, I have not been able to see these 3 side switches in any of the videos or photos, so we'll have to check for them. By the way, the design looks good. I mean, ignore the pen holder antenna thing, which I think looks weird. I'm trying to use a word to emphasize this, but I don't want to say it. It looks weird. It looks rather strange. But overall, this looks very elegant. I'm going to give props to Wacom for this. It looks very nice, okay? It's a very pretty black rectangle. I like it. There's some things here. I don't know if you can see it in the video. There's 2 little somethings there. I don't know what that is. Maybe those are those buttons. Anything else I see here? Vari angle pen stand. Oh, I hate that name. Wacom has further improved the Cintiq tablets by adjusting display size and resolutions. Okay, here's the comparison. 16-inch, 256 by 1600, 16 by 10, 1400 to 1 contrast ratio, 290 nits. The 24-inch is 256 by 1400, 16 by 9, and a maximum of 350 nits. Okay, so it is brighter. But it's weird. The smaller one has a bigger contrast ratio, but lower brightness. The larger one has less of a contrast ratio, but it's brighter, noticeably. Now, one thing that is unstated in this article so far, at least, is do these have fans? In the pictures, I can't see any quite yet. We'll take a look. I'm very sensitive to noise. I like my pen displays silent. And my theory is this: to get these higher brightnesses, which of course means more heat, Wacom seems to add fans to their pen displays. So that's not a criticism, but that seems to be how they compensate for the extra heat. Now, so we don't know if they have fans yet. That's an open question. Let me just write that down in my notes as a question. So, questions still to be resolved. Fans? Unknown. Unknown. Patrick McPatterson says, I like it better than the old Cintiq one. The old Cintiq one, though it may be easy to slap the pen across the room by accident. Yeah, it's going to happen. I am the first person who is going to do it. Guaranteed. In fact, probably I will never use it because I'll be afraid of it. I'm just the kind of person who will knock over a glass or a pen holder. I'm that guy. Do you think they would mention if it didn't have a fan in the marketing? I think they might. In my experience, they don't like talking about the fans at all. So here's the evidence. When the Cintiq Pro 22 launched in November of 2022, the Cintiq Pro 27 in November of 2022, it had fans, and they had this sort of like, their marketing people had this a live stream, and I asked to join, and like I think there are 100 people there. They never once mentioned the fans. I had to ask them if it had fans. They answered. They easily answered that yes, it does have fans. So that wasn't a secret, but they did not mention that, in their normal talk track. So we're not going to know by looking at the spec sheet or by any videos they have. We're going to have to ask them or find like video or photographic evidence. Yes, I will absolutely test the pen holder for science. I promise you, I will even sacrifice a pen to the gods in a pen holder. Maybe I'll break it. We'll see. And so I guess the question is, will it fly off or will it crack? It's like leverage, right? This thing is going to put a lot of stress on either the pen or the holder. Hopefully Wacom thought of that, because it's going to happen. If it's not me, it's going to be someone's cat. Okay, it's going to happen. But I absolutely will try that. I will, by the way, I will absolutely get the 16-inch size. There's no doubt about that. As soon as it's available, I'll get it. The 24-inch, I wasn't planning on it. But now that I'm seeing the way it looks and its size, I think I probably will get the 24-inch touch, right? Do I need another Wacom pen display at 24 inches? No, I do not. But I feel like I have to have some credibility when I talk about their products. So I am going to get the 16 and the 24 touch. Titus says, just watch it like bend the nib when you do it. Yeah, it's going to twist something. And it twisted badly. I'm guessing those buttons are just a power button and something else, since I'm not seeing a power button anymore. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I feel like that would be an odd place for a power button, just because you might accidentally touch it with your hand and turn it off, right? Looks like the holder had a little rubber insert inside where the pen rests. Nick. If you're like me, you want it silent, durable, and not overheating, get it into OS Pro. Again, I'll remind everyone, I have 90 tablets now, by the way, and 95% of the time, I'm using a pen tablet. Only 5% of the time do I use a pen display when I feel like I need the extra speed it offers. There also seem to be USB-C ports on the top left and the right corner on the sides. Interesting. They didn't mention that in the literature. Okay, we'll take a look, Hera. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't see any ports there, but yeah, there must be something visually there. We'll have to research. Okay, back to PetaPixel. Where was I? Is that the full article? Oh no, I must have clicked off of it. Hang on. Let's scroll back down. Oh, right here. The new fanless design. Fanless. That's awesome. I'll give Wacom credit when they deserve it. That's awesome. Now, let's be also clear though. I don't hate the fans. I don't like the noise. In my experience, what this means is these are going to get warmer at 100% brightness. So that's one of the tests I will conduct when I get these. I will leave it on for an hour at 100% brightness, and I will measure the temperature. Like, I'll touch it. Not only will I touch it, I just bought a month or so ago a little, I don't know what you call it, a little infrared camera that you plug into a phone. So I can take pictures of the heat and find out the exact temperatures. And yes, I know some of you are asking, Tablet Kitten, I will provide the temperatures in Celsius, okay? Not Fahrenheit. That's always a comment I get about measurements from Tablet Kitten. Okay, so let me note that down. It is fanless. Surprising. Surprising. No fans. But again, heat is now a question at 100% brightness. Let's see. The button function, I mentioned the setup instructions for the tablets. Thank you for saying that. I'll take a look at the instruction manuals. I forgot that those are actually out there. Stand looks good. I assume you can use any VESA stand that's compatible with this. Okay, and both of them, 16 and 24, have VESA, so that's good. Let me just note that as well. Yes, they're both VESA. 10-figure touch. High touch accuracy. Interesting. They say it's plus or minus 1 millimeter from, I guess I think what they're trying to say is it's a little less accurate when you're within 3.5 millimeters of the edge. This is touch. They don't mention the pen accuracy. Pricing and availability. Okay, $600 for the 16, $1,200 or $1,300 for the 24, and $1,500 for the 24 touch. Okay, let me write that down, and we'll talk about what this feels like. So prices. So it's 16, 24, and 24 touch. What was it? $700, $1,300. And where is the other one? $1,500. Okay, my initial reaction to this is great. This is great. This is lower than I thought they were going to go. I was, in my head, I thought the 16 was going to be $1,000. And the 24, despite not being a Cintiq Pro, was going to be $2,000. And the 24 touched like $2,500 or something. Maybe the 24 was going to be $2,000. Okay. So to me, this is very reasonable and very price competitive. Very price competitive. I'm curious what people are going to say about this price. The stand is $100. Oh my gosh, I'll note that. Stand is $100, which is a lot for a stand. Let's not kid ourselves. The shop aid textured button is for power up, and the upper button is OST. Okay, so the on-screen display. And there are USB. So those were USB-C ports, Hera? Is that correct? King Dom, yes, it's getting competitive. And this needs to happen. It needed to happen. I'm really happy. I think we should all be very happy. Even if you're not going to get this tablet, and you never plan to get this tablet, you should be happy, okay? Because what will happen in response to this is that Huion and XP Pen are, I'm not saying they will lower the prices. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it puts pressure on them. And hopefully what that means is we get less expensive, but still high quality tablets. My perspective from these tablets is, look, the drawing experience isn't even a question. The Cintiq and Cintiq Pro drawing experience has been amazing for a long time. A long time. Sorry, let me take some water before I continue my rant. Thank you, Hera, for confirming. The drawing experience of the Cintiqs, even the models I don't use, has been great because I use the Pro Pen 2 for a very long time. And now we're getting that same, even if they improve nothing with the drawing experience, this is something that is much more reasonable. So I'm guessing, a lot of people held off from purchasing a Cintiq Pro, one of the new ones, okay? Because those prices were exorbitant. Yes, they offered some pro features like all this advanced color stuff. I'm not in that color world. I'm not a color professional. I'm not grading films or anything. I barely know the difference between red and blue and green. Okay, maybe that's exaggerating, but a lot of people don't need that. They just need decently good color, whatever that means. And I think these will provide that. And this will provide a great drawing experience. So I'm very happy. And again, you should be happy because competitors, pressure will be on them. Soon we'll be I always promise you, we are going to be in a space where all tablets are good very soon, maybe in one more generation. And this is the sign of it, in my opinion. It's going to be much more competitive. So I'm happy, very happy. Titus, I don't think these cheaper Cintiqs would have ever existed if it wasn't for the competition getting good. I think you're right, Titus. I think, especially, for me, I felt that way when I saw the Canvas Pro 19 and the Canvas Pro 27. The pen is right up there with the quality of the Pro Pen 2, right? And it looks good and it has touch. And that's something I'll recognize here. This is not even a Pro tablet, and the 24-inch model has touch. Now, to be honest, I would have liked it if all three models had touch, right? I guess you would have only needed two models then. But I think it's going to be great. I think it's just going to be fantastic. And for $700, not having touch is not bad. That is not bad at all. Okay, what else can I take a look at here? Oh, someone on the Discord mentions that it's 8-bit only for the 24-inch model. I think that's also true for the 16-inch model. So I'm going to just note this down in my... So this is the color bit depth. It's only 24 inches, but do you really need 24-bit color in these things? 8 bits per channel. Let me spell color correctly. And bit depth, okay. And you can't see this comment in the Discord, but yeah, I would say that someone mentioned Cloud that the 16-inch is a great replacement for the old 16-inch. It is, because I have the old 16-inch and the old 22-inch, and the screens are very outdated. They're not laminated, so they have a little more parallax. It's noticeable, and they look washed out. Compared to anything that's been out in the last, at least 5 years, maybe 10 years, they look washed out. And you definitely feel like it's not as a premium experience. But these seem to fix that problem. And Cloud mentions, yeah, it does have VESA. Yes, I'll just write that back to him. Both have VESA. So I think the vase is very important too, because lots of people want to put it up on an arm or a stand. Okay. Let's see, Nick mentions. Meanwhile, somewhere in Wacom headquarters, competition. Never heard of it. Okay, let's, did someone else want me to take a look at something else? Oh, actually, before we do anything else, let me go back to the Wacom site and let's just take the videos here that they published. Is there anything else we want to see? I can't read Japanese, so I'm not sure what the 16 setup. Okay, this is just plugging in the cables. Not much, pretty much the same as the 24. This was the pen. Nib replacement. I don't think we need to know that. How to use Cintiq. Oh, this is just the unboxing. Okay, so pretty much the same. Adjustable stand. Anything interesting here to see? It is a very elegant looking stand. I will give it credit for an elegant looking stand. I mean, it's as attractive as you can make a Vesa stand. Though honestly, the Vesa stand that the that XP Pen makes for their larger models is pretty good. Okay, nothing too complicated. Standard Vesa stuff. And the OSD. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is interesting. Actually, let me go back here. I was wondering what button did they hit. I believe Hera showed us or told us which one they're hitting. It's the on the bottom right. They hit the topmost button. Okay, so the pen can control the OSD. Of course, that's nice. This OSD looks like the one I saw in the Moving 13. Okay, you can switch between the input source. This looks exactly like the very similar at least to the Moving OSD. And then some settings. We might need to pause this. Let me pause it very quickly. Language, menu transparency, LCD luminance, power. Okay, you can control what the power button does. Okay. And factory reset. There's that touch. That touch looked good. Seemed pretty responsive. Question for them is, I can't remember. Touch works for Macs as well, I assume. I know in the Huion they haven't gotten for, it's just in beta for the Mac. Okay, those are the videos. And Albert asks, I can't remember. Touch works for, oops, you're hearing me stream, that's funny. Albert says, is that the $500 stand? No, the $500 stand is for the Cintiq Pros. This is I believe the $100 stand for these new Cintiq models. Let's see. Wacom English channel has just released their videos. Okay, let's just go there so everyone knows what is there. Let's see. I didn't see it when I checked about an hour or so ago. So it looks like they may have just uploaded it. Am I missing something? Because I'm on the Wacom channel and I just don't see the videos. And I'm on latest. Let me refresh. Maybe that's the issue. Okay, they've got this video now. Okay, this is 3 minutes ago. Okay, so they're starting to show things here. Let's go ahead and watch it. So we can see the English. Let me restart here. Jump into endless creative possibilities, they say. Compact design with a larger active area. Okay, Pro Pen 3. There's that. Hear that shifter. Flat design. Okay, so it is designed to be flat. I'm still curious how the cables work in this flat configuration. I guess those little rubber feet are a bit thicker than I thought. Dive into creativity. Okay, so that was the English version of the video. I suppose we should be seeing then them publishing over the next few hours the other videos they had built. Which is funny, they always do it first on the Japanese channel and then it comes here, sometimes like quite a bit later. Okay, let's just take a look if there are any other questions. Nick says, yeah, that's an elegant looking stand. Remember that meme with Fry, shut up and take my money. Do you think it's worth $100? I mean, I think it's a little expensive, but it does look good. I'll get it. OSD does look decent. Yeah, it's nice. One thing they do nice with the moving about the OSD is if you turn off touch, but you turn on the OSD, touch is enabled for the OSD. So that's super convenient because there's nothing like pressing a button with your hand to bring up a menu, but then you have to bring up having to use a mouse or a pen to touch it. So they enable touch smartly. They enable it, turn it back on, for the OSD, just that region. That's very smart. Why ukulele music in their videos? It reminds me of the awful product videos on Amazon. Is that commonly used on Amazon? Okay, let me take a look at the Discord to see if there's any other comments here that I want to bring in. I want to see if they have the user manual, actually. The specifications are here. Let's just answer any additional questions here. We can see these. Let me F11 this, if I can. Make it big. There we go. And I will maybe get my face out of the way for a second. Okay. Where are the specifications? Right, here we go. Here they are. Model numbers. These are for the 24. I'm curious about pen compatibility. So anti-glare glass. It's IPS, yeah, not OLED. That's what I think we established that. Okay. Weight, 11 pounds. I think that is, I can't remember how much the previous ones weigh. I feel like this is probably lighter a little bit. Oh, this is what people meant, bond. Okay, they actually talk about fans. That's great. They actually talk about it. Let's see, there's a comment here. Interesting that it supports Android. Did they mention that somewhere? I'll take a look. I'm curious what they exactly mean. And do the older ones not support Android? I've never tried them with Android, but I will try. Okay, VESA. Dedicated pan, zoom, scroll, and brush size. What are they talking about? Buttons here? I'm not sure what this means. Dedicated pan, zoom, scroll, brush size. Precision mode, radial menu. Those are the driver features. Pen gestures, that's kind of a driver feature. Bit depth, they color that. Viewing angle, nothing wild here. It is very bright. It keeps, I think, the brightness of the old Cintiq Pros. Native, and then sRGB, good. Okay, what about pens? That's the Pro Pen 3. I want to know pen compatibility. Let's take a look here. I'm looking at the right optional accessories. Pro Pen 3, grips, nibs, stand. Still not happy about this mini HDMI thing. It's just weird. Pro Pen, okay, it's compatible with Pro Pen 2, that's expected. Pro Pen 3D, original Pro Pen, grip pen, classic pen, art pen, of course. Okay, one thing that they are not saying here, which is a disappointment, I will tell you up front, it doesn't mention that they're compatible with those UD-EMR pens, like the Samsung S Pen or the Statler Norris pens or the Lamy pen or the Wacom CP913 or CP923. That, I think, would have made this extra sweet. And you know the reason why I say that. Not that those pens are great, but because they're cheap. They're like $30 to $40. Okay, let's just take a look at the comments. Let's see, Nick says, I don't know, specs are somewhat new, but if you're like me, why would you take this instead of secondhand Cintiq Pro 24? I can tell you one reason I would. Honestly, it's fanless. It's also, if I remember correctly, it's smaller because the bezel is much smaller. For me, that's important because those wide bezels just make the device too big. Other than that, I think you have a good point, Nick, which is if you've got a Cintiq Pro, and I think one of the Cintiq Pro 24 models has touch, why would you go back to this? I have never used a Cintiq Pro 24, so I don't know if I have an opinion on the screen quality. Like, does it look washed out or not? Right? I'd have to check some of the reviews. I like the stuck pixel disclaimer in the tech space. Oh, let's find that. Did they mention this here? Oh. Okay. A small number of pixels are allowed to show wrong color for some parts of the color spectrum. I wonder what that small number is. I've been lucky. I haven't had a dead pixel since like the year 2003, okay? In any product, so I feel pretty lucky. Where is at least it supports the older Wacom pen, so you can use the Pro Pen too. Yeah, that's a good thing. And that's what I expect. Rain-Soaked Puppy says some of those S Pen styluses are super ergonomic too, like the Lamy All-Star EMR. I've never tried those like Lamy or Statler Norris, so it's one thing I want to try this year. Hera, connecting the old Cintiq Pros is a nightmare with the hubs. Can you tell me more about what that means? Is it that they require a hub, or that when you use a hub, they have trouble working with hubs? Could you just clarify that comment, Hera? Okay, and then I'm gonna just look for the user manual for these. If I can find it. Is there anything that shows me? Is it our user manual here? Someone linked it in the Discord, so let me find it. Give me 1 second. I just want to get that link to the Getting Started manual because someone pasted it. Look at the Getting Started for the 16, if it reveals anything at all. Okay, let's get back here. Getting Started, there was a video. Nothing too crazy. Okay, let's take a look at this. So there's a power, mini HDMI, and USB-C. They do explicitly mention Android, yeah. That's a surprise. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. Hopefully they figured out all the, what do you call it? I don't know. Just, okay. I wonder how they work with an Android device. The power. So this is on the bottom right here on the tablet. I think the OSD was this button and this was the... Wait, what? Deep breath, deep breath. The following cables are not included. HDMI to mini HDMI is not included. HDMI to mini HDMI is not included. Come on. We know lots of people have desktops that don't support USB-C, Thunderbolt, that have DisplayPort, alt mode, etc. I'm surprised they did not include the HDMI to mini HDMI cable. That's shocking. That's shocking. And they don't include the USB-C to USB-A, right? So that means if you're going to buy this tablet, you're going to have to, if you don't have USB-C port that supports DisplayPort alt mode, you're going to have to, and data at the same time, you're going to have to get these additional cables. Or at least one more cable, and then, at least the mini HDMI. So that's disappointing, honestly. Okay, let me go back to the comments here. I love how they keep listing the art pen. You'll never find it, but you can. Yeah, it's I don't think they're being made anymore. I don't see them last time I checked. I returned a 17 Pro because of the hub. It only worked in 4K with USB-C. Only later did they introduce the hub that made it. Is that the Wacom converter hub, which I have but have rarely used? Well, that's the one for the MoveInk at least. Let's see, Hera. This is about the hub, I believe. It's confusing and there's tons of cables you need. I like to find a micro USB to USB-A. Like I needed to find a micro USB to USB-A. And I was borrowing a friend's 16 Pro, and yeah. It gets. I understand what you're saying now. Got it. It is a mess. I agree. I have an older PC that doesn't have USB-C ports. I'm tempted to buy one, but I just go back and get Intuos. Sometimes Intuos is the pen tablet's just the best idea. When I stopped using my Samsung Galaxy for drawing, let me get that comment back on there. When I stopped using my Samsung Galaxy for drawing, I was using Staedtler Norris Digital Jumbo. Very happy with it. Yeah, Pentec 4.0. I say it every video. Huion, it's a home run. They should be very proud of themselves. Titus says, it's so ridiculous. If you have a Windows desktop, it won't work out of the box without buying more cables. There's probably a very small, like vanishingly small number of people that have a Windows desktop set up to make this work. Vanishingly small. Because desktops are just not guaranteed to have it's just complicated. I'm actually making a video on USB-C, connecting a pen displays with USB-C, and it's complicated for a desktop. It's so complicated. Titus, I foresee lots of negative reviews because of the lack of cables. I think I would agree with you. I think I take this in two pieces. Number one, I don't really mind the fact I don't have a USB-A to USB-C because these days everyone's got lots of those kind of cables, right? Like I literally have a box filled with them. I have like 70 USB-A to USB-C cable. I'm not joking. That is the number, or various cables like that. But no one has a mini HDMI to HDMI cable. Who has that? Nobody. How many devices do you have in your apartment or house that use mini HDMI? Can you count them? I have one. Exactly one. Sorry. I also have two cameras that use micro HDMI. And some of you have never even heard of micro HDMI. So it's just super rare to encounter the situation. So you can't count on someone having the cable. That is very frustrating. That will be a complaint that shows up. And I'm curious what the price of that cable is going to be. Oh, conveniently, let's find out how much this special Wacom cable. I'm sure it's not proprietary, so I didn't mean to imply that with the. Just deep breath. Deep breath. The HDMI to mini HDMI cable is $100. $100 cable. Let's take a look. Okay, that's fair, Titus. That's fair. It could be placeholder price. It could be. I claim, though, that's the real title. That's the real price. Right? Because they've published so many videos today. They've got the article on PetaPixel up. Probably we'll see a review from some people on YouTube soon. So like everything's planned out for this release, right? Unlike the weird release of the Intuos Pro. So I don't think this is a mistake. I think this is deliberate. This is, and it's, that makes me feel really bad. It makes me feel bad because Titus is, it lists it says in stock now. That's the, okay. This is the real test, right? Would I need a warranty for this? No, I don't want protection. I mean, I'm going to just put it in my cart, okay? Not that I'm going to buy it right now, but you get the idea. Please stop with this protection question. Is it in my cart? It's in my cart for $100. Or sorry, quantity 2 for $100. Well, I'm not going to buy $200 worth of cables tonight, so let me click that off. Okay, let's go to Amazon. Let's try it. Mini HDMI to HDMI, and they're not like sponsoring me, but I have a lot of Cable Matters cables, so I'm going to just type it in because I just use a lot of them. Or Anchor. Okay, high speed. This looks like 25 feet is $18. Okay, and you get a little converter, 2 of them for $12. I'd probably use the converter, honestly. Okay, here's an 8K. This is DisplayPort, sorry. This is a converter, $11 or $12. So, yeah, I think you should be able to. So Tablet Kitten mentions, let's hope we can use any random cable from AliExpress for this. I'm sure that's the case. Look, if Wacom said, okay, the cable is $30. Okay, actually, what's a normal HDMI cable? Okay, HDMI cable, 6 feet. What's a normal cable? Amazon Basics. Let's just say it's $8. $10. $8. So I think the price they're charging this cable is like 10 times the normal cost. Okay? That's excessive. If they had said this cable was $30, I would have said, okay, that's a bit expensive, but whatevs, right? 10 times, come on, let's get real here. Yeah, so we'll figure that out. I will, when I order this, actually, let me just double check. It's not in stock, right? It's still in stock. The These new tablets, right? Oh, and the names. It's not a proper Wacom release unless we figure out the names of these things. So let me go ahead and try shop now and to see. Okay, so first of all, these, even though they don't say it on the previous page, these are called the Cintiq 2025 models. Okay, which by implication means that the older ones are like, I don't know what year they released. So we can say these are Cintiq 2025s, right? Can I buy any of them? Okay, all of them are out of stock. All of the new ones are out of stock. Okay, so I can't buy them, which is disappointing. Sorry, where did I flip off to? Oh, yeah. Someone said that in the latest Wacom drivers, they released new drivers. Let's take a look. And, we're going to talk about Wacom naming. Yes, accept all cookies. Thank you. Yeah, this is a new driver. Let's take a look at the release notes. What can we learn? So they've already released a new driver. Look at this. Wacom Cintiq line of pen displays. This is, see, Wacom likes to just give multiple names to their tablets. Cintiq M, Cintiq L, Cintiq M Enterprise, Cintiq L Enterprise, Cintiq L Touch, Cintiq L Enterprise Touch. What? They've listed more tablet names than 3. So something is confusing. Would you agree with me? Cintiq M, 1, L, 2, Cintiq M Enterprise is 3, Enterprise L is 4, L Touch is 5, Cintiq L Enterprise Touch is 6. Something's off here. There is a mismatch. I don't know how to resolve the mismatch. I'm just going to assume this might be older text that they used. But I just don't understand. What is the implication of the word enterprise here? Let's take a look. There are a few comments here. Rain Soaked Puppy says, on the Japanese store, the mini HDMI to HDMI cable is about $29. See? That's about $30. So that's somewhat reasonable, 3x the normal price. Thank you, Rain Soaked Puppy. So should we call it, yes, Titus, should we call it Cintiq M or Cintiq 16 or Cintiq 25M or Cintiq 2516? 2025, again, when I was in that big company I used to work for, we had to name products, okay? And I used to make a little, I don't know if people know this thing called Mad Libs. Basically, it's a fill in the blank kind of sentence, right? And I would construct a bunch of sentences that normal people would say about the products. And I'd force marketing and other program managers to put the name of the product in there to see how weird it would sound, okay? So let's go ahead and use that technique here, and you'll see how weird it gets. So the model line, I would say, the fill in the blank would be the model series and then the model name, right? So, hey, retailer, I would like to buy the model line, that's the first fill in the blank, and the model name is the second thing. Today, I would like to buy blank and blank today. What would you fill in? Would you say, I would like to buy the Wacom Cintiq 2025-16? Just think about how that reads out in English, or how you say it out in English, or in any language. You'd have to say 2025-16. Huh? See, these words, it gets confusing to say 2025-16. Because I even made a mistake about a minute ago. I called it the Cintiq 2516. because it's just confusing, right? I kind of like the idea of using size names like this. So Cintiq M for the 16, I guess. Wacom Cintiq 2025 M. I could understand that. But it's just a weird naming. We'll see what happens. Also worth noting that the HDMI cable, the normal one is $30. So what causes this one to be $100? It could be a mistake on Wacom's website. I'll see when I order it, because I'm going to have to order it. 3 names from official sources. This is the same thing that happened with the Wacom 1 pen displays. I saw them referred to as, originally they were called Wacom 1 Gen 2, I believe, or second generation. Then finally Wacom started calling them Wacom 1 2023. Okay, and let's say the full name of it then. Let's take the 13-inch one. Wacom 1 2023, 13 touch. I said 3 numbers in a row. How weird is that? Tablet Kitten says, we finally know what the ACP 500E is for. But yeah, but what does it mean? Could you clarify for me what the Enterprise is supposed to signify? Originally, I thought it meant the nibs were just in the pan, but maybe you're seeing something I'm not. Void Out says, Wacom naming has been confusing these past few years. It certainly has, and again, I'll volunteer my services. Wacom, if you need someone to help you with naming, I'll help you for free. I know how to do this. Look at Nick. That's how you recognize Americans. They see some junk for $100 and they're like, can I order it now? Well, some guy in the Philippines is like, nice joke. Yeah. That's a good point. Should I do that? Should I order the Wacom one? No. That would be wrong. That would be morally wrong of me to suggest anyone to buy the $100 cable. In Korea, it's down to 28 USD, so on par with Japan. Okay. Like Sony, yeah, Sony is the only company that does crazier model numbers than Wacom is Sony. Right? I just don't even know how they think about model names and numbers, right? It's crazy. This is something I will actually give Huion some credit for. Yes, the Huion Frago sounds like the drink Fago, which I've never sipped, by the way. But at least you know what tablet you're talking about. The Huion Giano, same thing. Sounds Italian. What's it mean? Who knows? But you know what it means, right? They're starting to get good that way. And they're simple, right? Frago M, Frago L, you get it. Canvas Pro 27, Canvas Pro 19, understandable. But these names, getting crazy. $15E is the Enterprise variant, and there's... But I guess what I'm really asking is, they don't mention the word Enterprise tablet kitten anywhere in this literature that I can see. So if we could clarify, what are these Enterprise versions? That would help. Oh, you think they're coming... Oh, you think the Enterprise ones are future tablets they're going to be introducing? The stand is more expensive here than the US, about $20 more. Nick Tyler. Crazy names. Have you seen Canon cameras? By the way, I've switched completely to Sony, but are they pretty bad? I'm not familiar with them. By the way, Sony naming is also a little bit confusing. Sarafan, yes, the prices are revealed for the Cintiqs. It was in the PetaPixel article. I'll bring it up so you can see. They're right here. So basically, it's the Cintiq 16 is 1,300 US. The 24 is 1,500, and the 24 touch. Sorry, I had that wrong. Sorry, my mistake. It's $700 for the 16, 1,300 for the 24, and 1,500 for the 24 touch in all in US dollars. So that's the prices there. We can't see the prices on the Wacom page because you can't, it's listed as out of stock, so I can't add it to the cart to see the price. So that's what the prices are. Okay. Well, I think we covered everything that's published. Let me check on YouTube to see if T.O. or Brad or anyone else has mentioned these tablets. Let's check if Brad's. I'm hoping he did. That's Brad Colbo.
I got two things.
No, he still got the Surface Pro 12. How about T.O.? Well, let me just type in Wacom Cintiq 2025. Let's see if that shows up. No, these are just... Okay, so it looks like we're a little bit... We're catching it at its earliest sort of reveal. So they don't have a lot of reviews out there. Frankly, I'm surprised that PetaPixel has an article already. So I expect what that means is Wacom worked with them to get some content out there. Rainsoaked Puppy says, I think the enterprise model of any given product is usually meant to be bought at volume for things like point of sale. They often include service contracts with the manufacturer. That makes sense, what you're saying. It's just weird to see them listed like it's a separate model, right? Like, and it's listed in a way that implies that, you know, in the driver at least we saw it listed as if it's something you could find on the website and buy, which obviously we can't find it even. Albert OG, Wacom 1 versus 1 by Wacom is the most ridiculous. It absolutely is. Brad is busy ironing his gloves. Maybe for his glove dance, which is always fun to see. Oh, and there's lots of articles out about it now if you search it. Let's do that. Let's go to Google. Let's type it in, huh? Close this. Wacom Cintiq. I can't even spell Cintiq correctly. Whoa, the AI overview actually caught it. Don't trust the AI overviews yet. They still mess things up. The Wacom blog. Oh, there's actually a blog article. Let's just take a quick look. See if there's anything interesting they say. Somehow, how did I get to Italian? What the heck just happened there? Okay, let me see if I can just remove the Italian. And I'll get to the normal blog maybe. Nope. Okay. Maybe if I do EN, it'll work. EN-EN. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to skip that since I obviously do not read Italian. DP review. Notice they use the same picture as the PetaPixel. Anything interesting here? Same basic stuff. I'm looking for some kind of analysis that shows... Got the prices. Okay, it's just summarizing the press release, basically. But it's good that they coordinated, because Wacom did not do this very well with the Intuos Pro release. Okay, but we are seeing articles, which is good. They're just adapting news from the press release. Yeah, exactly. Which I don't blame them. It sounds like they don't have them in hand, which is what I was hoping, that maybe DP Review or PetaPixel, they might have been given some units to try, but it looks like they weren't. And Tablet Kitten, I'm just curious, did you notice on Bilibili, were there any videos already out there? I don't recall you mentioning that, but that's something we saw with the Intuos Pro 2025. ENUS. Okay, sure. I'll try that. That's right. I forgot it's ENUS. EN-US. Oops. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, it is here. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me hide my face briefly. So none of these are 4K, which we know. Just want to double confirm it. Designed to help unlock your creative potential. Sure. The most natural feel. Okay, marketing talk. Anti-glare bonded glass. I don't know why so they deliberately picked the word bonded. This is the second time we've seen them write this word. Don't know why they're saying that. The question is to Wacom, how is this different from the etched laminated glass you had before? Okay. Look at this sentence here. With direct bonding technology, parallax is minimized so that what you see is exactly where your pen touches. First of all, let me just restate this in normal 7-pence talk. With lamination, parallax is reduced, in parentheses, compared to having an air gap, so that you see your pen closer to where it's actually, you see the pixels closer to where they're actually touching. There is no display that has zero parallax, right? Parallax can only be minimized by not having a glass on top of the pen display. And everything has glass on top. I know I'm being picky, but what do you want me to do? Thank you for that hint, though, about the EN-US. Cintiq 16 would have been worth it if it had touch for $700, but the price is expensive. Yeah, I think the price is not bad, Saravan, but I agree. They should just release 2 models, 16 touch, 24 touch. Even though I rarely use touch, I think, let me put my face back on. Even though I don't use touch rarely, I think that would have been like, oh wow, this is great. It would put a lot of pressure on XP Pen and Huion to introduce touch in their models. I can imagine people in the year 3000. I don't trust you. Don't trust it. Yeah, this is in regards to those AI summaries. They're getting better, but they get facts wrong. No videos on Bilibili for now, which is interesting, right? Normally, the Bilibili has been ahead of the curve compared to the rest of the world. Hello, Edbot. Guess I arrived late. Happy to have you. Yes, we've been going for about 2-something hours, but just over 2 hours. But there's always the video on demand, and I will be writing things down and putting them in an article in preparation for, which will be publicly available, in preparation for my notes on these tablets when they're actually released. So I'll link to that in the Discord. The Cintiq 24 looks, it does. As saying earlier in the stream, I knew about these 3 coming, which I mentioned many times in my videos. I definitely always wanted to get the 16-inch model, okay? But knowing now that all these models are fanless, so no noise, and seeing how they have thin bezels, which in this case is, for me, good. They don't occupy as much space. I think I will get the 24 touch. And I'm very interested in how well it works. Black rectangles, best design ever. People are finally learning. Keep it simple. Let's see, it's weird when Wacom makes signature pads like the ST540, But you never know unless you went digging for it. They seem to keep their markets very separate. That makes sense. I mean, those signature things are just used in very different scenarios, just incredibly different scenarios. Okay, let's go back to the Wacom blog. What else can we see? Okay, would any of you use the tablet like this? Be real. Be real with me. Did anyone see this happening? I don't know. 16 by 10, maybe. I still think it would feel a bit weird. But at least here, it seems like they're clearly demonstrating that it's high enough off the desk because of the little rubber feet that the cables can go underneath the tablet, which is good. Maybe also it not sitting on the desk helps it with the staying cool, I hope. The advanced thermal design helps keep the display cool and quiet. So you can say, well, of course it's cool, there are no fans. So I'm not sure. I think calling it advanced thermal design, it hides the fact that the major thing seems to be the fans are not there. But maybe, this is the test, and I bought my little infrared thing. I'll measure to see how hot it is. I'll take my older Cintiqs, crank them up to 100%, crank these up to 100%, and then take the IR measurements and see how hot they get. If they remain cool to the touch, I'd be really impressed. So maybe there is something they're doing to keep them extra cool. We'll see. Only true artists rotate the device itself, not the canvas. Can you imagine drawing like that, rotating an actual tablet? I've never even imagined that. Nizen says, why is the Artist Pro Gen 2.5K blurry? This is the XP pen. Well, Nizen, I don't think it's blurry. I do not think it's blurry. I think that's the wrong word to use. I would use it's slightly soft. It's slightly soft. And some people notice it a lot, some people don't. I don't notice it. I mean, I can tell it's there, but it doesn't bother me in any way. Now, why is it blurry? I think it's due to the specific anti-glare treatment they applied. And, the treatments seem to vary depending on which manufacturer and model. But for both the Canvas Pro 19 from Huion and this XP pen, dispersing the light causes a little bit of softness. You might use the display in portrait mode if you're connecting it to an Android device. Okay, yeah, I could believe that, Rainsoak Puppy, yeah. With 16, you can use portrait, but I doubt it'll be comfortable on any mount. Yeah, I can't. It's a bit far to reach, actually. Hera says she doesn't even use their iPad in portrait mode. Yeah, it's rare for me to use that. Even reading, it's rare for me to do that way. Except the iPad mini, that actually worked well that way. Clips you to paint with simple mode in portrait is good, but that's on Android. I need to try that. Saravan says, what do you mean by blurry? I don't get it. Let me show you. Because I know people are asking about this. I just want to be clear. It's easiest to first show you with the Canvas Pro 19, and then you can understand what I mean by blurry versus, this is the wrong keyboard. Okay, Canvas. So I'm showing the wrong screens. Hang on. I forgot what you were actually seeing on the screen. How do I stop this? There we go. Okay, let's go to Docs. And yeah, we'll just start recommendations because it's easier. And I gotta sneeze. Oh, sneezing. My allergies have been awful this year. Okay, so hopefully this will work. Is this it? Okay. So I want to take, this is the Cintiq Pro 22 and the Canvas Pro 19, okay? And I want to just zoom in so you can see, take a look at this is much more obvious around text, okay? Now, there's a couple of things you'll notice here. Let me hide my face for a moment. Left is Cintiq Pro 22, right is Canvas Pro 19. Would everyone agree with me that the Canvas Pro 19 on the right looks softer, right? The pixels are just a little fuzzy. Now this is zoomed in a lot. I mean, you have to put your eye really close to notice, but it is noticeable, but it doesn't bother me. The pixels on the left on the Cintiq Pro 22 are more crisp. There's a little bit of fuzziness there, but it's very, very minimal. Those pixels are very crisp, okay? So this is what you'll see with like the the Artist Pro 24. A little bit of softness. It's not blurry. Now some people, yes, are really bothered. Now it's hard to photograph this. Some people are bothered by this amount of blurry, or this amount of softness, okay? Now whether that's, so I can't say that everyone's bothered by it, but some people certainly are, okay? So Arvan, I hope that clarifies things. I just want to make sure it is clear. And let's see. But I see you think the anti-glare is great. Yeah, it is. And traditionally, they've been pretty good at it. So that's something Huiyan's caught up on, or very close to being the same now. But yeah, traditionally, they've been very good at it. Leiden says, I prefer my drawing tablet to be as sharp as my monitor. Yeah, lots of people feel that way. Lots of people want it to be super crisp. Wacom is probably the most crisp of any of the pen displays I've seen. iPads have CSP in simple studio mode, but for the studio. Okay, if you want a really simple layout, use Procreate. That makes sense. Let's see. You're curious to see a comparison between the new Cintiqs and the Huiyan 4K line. So I can just tell you from what we're reading and what we saw and my experience so far. There's the Huiyan Canvas Pro 24, which is an older model. The 19 and the 27 are the newer models. So I would say, just looking at the specs here, the Canvas Pro 1927 are on par with these Cintiqs, right? And these Cintiqs, except for the color gamut support, seem to be, and the high refresh rate, they are on par, very close to the Cintiq Pros that were released over the past couple of years. So these are very good. These are very good devices, I would say. XP, slightly soft. XP Pen sponsor this too now. Ain't capping. Yeah, there's all three of these models are just 60 hertz. Hera asks, is the softness due to the finish on the glass? Like, are the Cintiq and the Canvas surfaces different? Yes. So all three of these models use etched glass. Etched glass means there's a texture on the glass, a very microscopic texture. I don't think the glass itself is any different. That's still a possibility. But that microscopic texture, depending on how much there is, and it's how fine-grained, I guess it is, it'll cause these different effects. Now, of course, I think Wacom does the best on this. They still have really crisp. Actually, let me qualify that for a second. I've taken a light and shined it on both Wacom Cintiq Pros and the Canvas Pros, and even the XP Pen Artist Pros. The XP Pen and Huiyan Pros, the new ones, they seem to scatter the light a lot more than the Wacoms. So actually, they do a better job of dispersing light. You see less reflections with the Canvas Pro 19 than the Cintiq Pros, okay? However, because they disperse light more, that means they they contribute to a little more softness, okay? So I think Wacom's picked a very reasonable balance. They give you decent amount of glare. It's enough. It's great, but they avoid some of that fuzzy, that softness, okay? Rain-Soaked Puppy says, the softening effect will be a consequence of a matte screen texture. Yeah, that's exactly right. If you have any degree of that texture, it'll cause this. That's what it does. So just so everyone knows the optics of this. So think about the layer of glass like here. The way anti-glare works is if light comes in, it scatters it in whichever direction, okay? However, there's light coming underneath the glass too. That's the display panel. So it gets scattered. And because those pixels are not, the pixels are made of red, green, and blue, that's what causes the rainbow effect. Because it'd be one thing if the pixels were just like, not three colors combined, but it had their own color. Then it'd look a little different than the way it does. It wouldn't be as rainbow sparkly. It would just look more fuzzy, I guess. I hope they still made it at least a high refresh rate. I saw the price, I think, for the 800 plus for the 16, almost 2,000. Yeah, I think it was like $600 US. I'll double check. 1 second. What was the price here? I have a slide with the prices. Or I did. Yeah, here it is. These are the prices. 16 is 700. 24 is 1,300 and 24 touch is 1,500, which I think are incredibly reasonable for what you're getting. The stand is 100, which I roll my eyes at, and one of the cables is $100, which you should just buy a different third-party cable. Nick says the matte texture surface is never friendly to pro displays. Once displays went to 4K, it became even more. Nick, could you explain what you mean by that? I think what you're saying is when they increase the resolutions, you notice more anti-glare sparkle. Is that what you mean? And one sad part about anti-glare sparkle is it doesn't show up in videos. So or product photography, like the way things are filmed, it just doesn't show up. You have to get really close and your camera settings have to be just right. Your human eyes can pick it up pretty easily. Even if you're not just a few inches away, you can be like a foot away and still see it. But camera cannot do it. It just makes everything look smooth. Okay, so I think we went through all our core material. I'm gonna create one more slide and I'm gonna just put my initial thoughts, okay? A good point from Harry here. I wish there were more places where you could just go in person to try the products. I've been able to test Wacoms and older XP pens here in Seoul, but I haven't found any Huyans yet. We definitely need things like this. Unfortunately, retail presence has really diminished in general, and it's not happening for a lot of these kind of very niche products still. I definitely hope I hope one day we'll be in a place where it's more common to try these things out. Like, it's possible to go to lots of retailers and try out iPads or Samsung tablets. Like my Costco has a bunch of tablets and laptops you can try. But these kind of devices, you just don't see them in a place where you can try them, which is very unfortunate. Rain-Soaked Puppy, maybe that's why no one's making an OLED pen display yet. Each pixel is self-illuminated. Doesn't that play nice with screen texturing? So two things. Remember, we do have two OLED pen displays. One, the Wacom Move Ink is OLED, and the Sense Labs Pen Display 16 is OLED. So we do have two. To your second point, each pixel is self-illuminated. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but if you're saying that they're made of a single color instead of three different, I think they still use multiple colors to make a pixel. And because you can still see some weird effects there. But I'm not an expert in OLED, so if someone knows, please let me know how it works. But I thought they had RGB as well, even with OLED. It is reasonable, and I think they smooth out the touch. But yeah, hoping they will update the refresh rate. been using screenless tablets, and I really love the smooth refresh rate, not tiring to the eye. And when you say refresh rate in capping, because you talked about screenless tablets, which don't have a refresh rate, they have a report rate. And I just want to make sure we're talking about the same things, right? The report rate for this should be about 300 reports per second. OLED gaming monitors have a 0.3 refresh rate. Interesting. Okay, here's my initial thoughts to sort of like, wrap up, the conclusion. So I think, my initial thoughts is these are very good tablets. I think people who they're more affordable than I expected. I think that's I expected them to be significantly more expensive. Okay, I am happy they don't have fans and are silent, but we need to see how cool they keep. That's a very important question. I suspect people holding off from Cintiq Pro will find these attractive. Okay, I really think they will. Okay, I should say I suspect instead of just suspect. I'm getting a parched throat. Let me take some water. Here at iPads, it depends, I think, on the model. I think some are and some aren't. It just depends on the specific model. Ain't capping, did they ditch the 3-in-1 cable? Yeah, they don't have a 3-in-1 cable here. You either can use a single USB-C cable, if your computer supports it, or you can use 3 separate cables for power, data, and video signal. Is Wacom Touch and palm rejection as good as iPad Touch and palm rejection? The answer to that is no. I think if there's 2 levels of this answer, I just want to make sure, because this is a very common, I love this comment. It is good. It is not as good as what you experience with the iPad. And there are 2 reasons for this. Number 1, I think that the iPad hardware and software stack is just like, the hardware is better. Okay. In what way? I have no idea, but it is just better. I get less accidental touches with an iPad than this. And the second part is the operating system. I think iPad OS has always been, it was built with touch in mind, so it's hyper optimized for that. Now let's move to using these. I think the hardware is pretty good. It's hard to separate the hardware effects from the OS effects. But Windows was not built with touch in mind, though since 2012, because of the Surface line, touch is baked into Windows. When you add touch devices, they work very well. But it's not quite as good as an iPad. Okay, and I think you'll notice that. Mac OS is another case here. Mac OS, I always have this fantasy that if you plug in an iPad or a drawing tablet with touch, using it should make using Mac OS feel like an iPad. It never feels that way because Mac OS does not bake in touch into the gestures and things. So I think that's how I would say, if you're expecting an iPad-like experience, you won't get that for 2 reasons, even though this thing does support touch and may even support it very well. And again, the touch is not bad. It's just the iPad touch is so much, it is very good. I don't think OLED monitors use backlighting the way LED monitors do, but each pixel is its own. Oh yeah, they're its own light source, but they are divided into like RGB or something. Right? That's what I was talking about. But you're right, they are their own light source. 3-in-1 cables are awful. Yeah, they're very inelegant, right? I agree, Captain. Okay, back to my initial thoughts. So, choice of mini HDMI port is, what does Marquez Brownlee? There was a video he made, he's like, that's weird. He said it just like that. That's weird. That's weird. And I'd have the same reaction. I'd tilt my head and say, that's weird. There may be good reasons, not a fan of it. And, the HDMI to mini HDMI cable is on Wacom's US site priced at $100. So, not happy with that. Okay. Actually, let me just add on the prices. And I am satisfied with the price. I'm happy with the price. The prices. I want to make sure that's clear, right? I wish all the models had touch. I do wish that. Okay. I like that they can be laid flat. I think that's very nice. A nice touch, right? I think the 60 hertz max refresh rate is fine. It's fine. Okay. I'm not disappointed with the fact they don't have 120 hertz. I think that's a niche thing. I understand if lots of people want that, but for me it hasn't been a big deal, and I think it's going to remain a pro feature. Void, yeah, not the I don't know the USB-C cable. Sorry, let me back up. The USB-C cable is included. It's the HDMI to mini HDMI cable, which is $100. Now, you should be able to use any HDMI to mini HDMI, but like a $10 one. So let me just write that down. But should be able to use any compatible cable, third-party cable. Okay, one disappointment to be sure. Disappointed that not compatible with UD-EMR pens, like the Samsung example, Samsung S Pen, Lamy Digital, etc. That maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they actually are going to be compatible, but they didn't list it. What are some other things I think here? Okay, I'm okay with the fact that the resolutions are more than HD, FHD. Better than full HD, and less than 4K. I think it's okay. I'm okay with the resolutions. I think it's fine. Okay. Especially for a 16-inch pen display, maybe it's controversial. I don't think you need 4K, so I'm fine. I also kind of like the 16 by 10 aspect ratio of the 16-inch model, right? Let me start another slide because I think there's more notes I want to take here. More notes. Comes with ProPen 3. I think they're attractive. I think that they're just like the physical design, the industrial design is very attractive, right? I think I'll give them credit for that. What else? Let me think if there's anything else. Let me take a look at the chat. Not only with resolution, with pro displays, you care about angles, color accuracy, resolution, even backlight. Million ways to fuck a display. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Nick. Yeah, boy, you got that right. There's no good reason for a mini HDMI 16-inch device. Yes, it's small. Yeah. Maybe they wanted to keep the device thin-ish. I can't figure it out. These new Cintiq displays really make me wonder what features they'll be adding to the Pro versions. How will they sweeten the most premium models? So that's a good question. So like, what are the differentiators? What are the Pro differentiators? Differentiators. So here's the list, as I know, based on their existing Pro line. Number one, higher refresh rates, right? All models support touch, right? Another thing they talk about is Pro level color support. I'm not a color guy, so things like this, what do they call it? Display P3, is that what it's called? Display P3, etc. Rec 709, all that stuff. I mean, it's all mumbo jumbo to me, but people who are in the industry, certain industries really need those things. So anything else? Oh, got higher refresh rates. These are the ways they're distinguishing their Pro line. Okay? I don't know of any other ways they're distinguishing the Pro line currently. These are the current things. But again, I think for a lot of people, the Pro line is so expensive that they will rush to get these, right? On that note, I hope will have an effect on pricing of competitors like Huion and XP Pen. Since I've said that, let's take a look. I'm just curious, how much the Sense Labs charge for their 24-inch pen display, which doesn't have touch, by the way. Okay, the Sense Labs pen display is $1,900 and does not have touch. Okay, and how much is our Cintiq 24? 1,500 compared to 1,000. What was it? 900. I think this is super competitive. Would you get a Sense Labs pen display 24 for, again, let's just look at the price. I want to make sure I get the number. For $1,900, or get a Wacom 24 Touch, the newest version that has touch, for less money, for $400 less? I think a lot of people would choose to get the Wacom because they're the leading industry brand. Even if the Sense Labs one is even if they liked it, they might be swayed by paying less and getting the Wacom brand associated, right? So I think, again, this will put pressure on competitors to be more competitive, because in a lot of ways, this competes against the Pro models of other pen displays. Sarvan, you think the prices are still too high? Because I think they're very reasonable, given that it's a Wacom. I expected these to be much more expensive, to be honest. I wish it had a physical switch to turn touch on and off. Hera, did it not? Touch. I think you have to use the OSD. Let me double check on this, or if you can point me to something that says that, I'd be curious. the what do they call it? The vari-angle. That's its official name, vari-angle pen holder. Okay. So here's my thoughts. Right, the vari-angle pen holder. Okay, it's just weird. It's weird. This will be the cause. This will cause. My prediction. I'll just say the word prediction here. Many pens and pen holders will be damaged accidentally. That's my prediction. Okay? We'll see. I'll try it. I'll try to do it. Pens will go flying. Okay? Did I say I like they can lay flat? Yeah, I did say that already. I think, yeah, these are good. Anything else I wanted to say about these? Yeah, I think it captures my initial thoughts. I think it captures it. Let me take a look at the chat, see if there's anything else I want to just add. How are we feeling about no shortcut buttons on the non-touch models? I'm okay with it. Let me add. That's a good question. So let me just add no shortcut buttons. I am okay with it. Sorry, you can't see what I'm typing, so let me. Oops. I think it's fine, actually, because I was not happy. I was not happy with the Cintiq Pro shortcut buttons. I thought they were in a weird location. I thought they were axed. It was hard to know what they did. They just were too sensitive. It was a really innovative design to have them by the side, but I could never get used to using them, honestly. So I think them missing is gone. But I agree with you. I'd like to see a physical touch on and off. I think that would be good. But I'm curious if other people have a different opinion. Do I think it will not heat up? I think I covered this. Yeah, we need to see. I'm concerned about it. They made a special point of saying it'll stay cool. They said that in the blog. So I'm hoping what that means is they took out the fans and they've done something, maybe adopted some technology from laptops or something to help dissipate the heat. I don't know. Maybe they're using special panels which produce less heat, right? But that's something that I will definitely test. In theory, no, it's just a display. It should not produce much heat. OLED will not be heating at all. Yeah, that's what I always thought, Nick Tyler. But every pen display I have, it's not that they're hot, but they all feel slightly warm. All of them are just slightly warm, okay? And here's an example. The XP Pen Artist Pro 24, 165 hertz version. When I turn it to 165 hertz and leave it on for a few minutes, the surface is hot. It's not going to burn you or anything, but you'll notice it when you touch it, and it can feel disconcerting at 100% brightness at that refresh rate. So something about these things cause heat, more than you'd expect for a monitor, and I don't know what that is. Maybe it's because of the digitizer behind the LCD panel is also part of the issue. I don't know. Rain-soaked puppy says, I'm going to call it the pen wart. Oh, the pen holder. Okay, we can call it the pen wart. Sorry, but our Sense Labs tablet's as good as Wacom. I watched a couple of reviews, but do they hold up? Well, I think I would say this. like every other competitor to Wacom, they're still catching up into the core digitizer technology, right? There's probably like a few tweaks they need to change to make the digitizer a little bit better to avoid a little bit of like diagonal wobble. But basically, their digitizers are, in the same league as XP Pens because they're actually owned by the same company, Hanbon UG. But Sense Labs isn't trying to like out-innovate Wacom on the digitizers. It's the overall experience. So one thing I think is they have a great design. They have 2 pens. They need to actually introduce that into tablets, 2 pens. So I think that part's good. Their pen is actually decent, at least in my initial measurements. But Wacom, for all the competitors, from a pure drawing performance perspective, still is in the lead, right? I think the first time I've seen them, maybe someone's caught up, is the new Huion, like the PW600 series of pens. Is sort of basically almost at the Pro Pen 2 level, or Pro Pen 3 level. So that's very good. And maybe with one more generation, I could safely say that with Sense Labs. Maybe for heat management, maybe thermal pads. Yeah, we'll see. Look, I've got my little IR camera, so I'll take some pictures. Okay, I think we've covered everything. I think we've covered all the topics pretty deeply. Like I said, let me just review what I'm going to do. As soon as these are available for purchase, I will purchase the 16-inch and the 24 touch. And hopefully they'll arrive together. We'll do an unboxing. Oh God, it's going to be hard to do a live stream with the 24 touch. But we'll see what I can do. We'll at least talk about them. I'll show you my initial reactions, and we'll see. Okay? And let's see, 8 Capping has one more comment. I'm bouncing back and forth to Wacom Intuos 2017, 2025 Intuos Pro, and Sense Labs. 2025 looks good, but bezel-less design is off. Sense Labs surface say they peels off. I haven't used my Sense Labs in a while. I was using it pretty heavily for about 6 months. I myself never noticed any surface peeling off. I have seen some people complain about that on the internet forum, like Reddit, but I don't know how pervasive that problem is. But I've definitely seen what you're talking about. Not sure what the cause is, like how those tablets are constructed to cause that, because it's pretty rare to see that. I think. Now let me get back to your comment for a second. Yeah, the bezel of the 2025 Pro is proving to be problematic for a lot of people. I'm still getting used to it. And what's funny is I'm used to it with Huion and XP Pen, but somehow it feels different with the new Wacom. That's a bit strange. Did I do a drawing stream on Intuos Pro? If you mean just drawing, no, but I did do a stream sort of talking about the 2025 models. So if you look through my live streams, the video on demand, you might see that. We'll wait for the update. Subscribe. Thank you so much, Capping. I appreciate the sub. Okay, everyone. I think I'm going to wind it down. We've been going for about, let's see, how long have we been going? Almost 3 hours. Can you believe it? These streams just get longer and longer. Okay, but I'm excited. I want to just make sure we end with, I am really excited for this. I'm surprised by it. I think they're more affordable. I think this is going to open up professional quality for way more people and make it a more competitive space. And that means we'll get better products for everyone. So let me, I'll wind down the stream and take a few more questions before I shut it down. Does the Sense Labs offer replacement surfaces? No, they don't. Their surfaces are sort of just baked in, like everyone's. Only Wacom has ever offered replacement surfaces. Is it overly cynical to expect that you're going to be either extremely happy with the new Cintiq or incredibly disappointed? Rain-soaked puppy, you point out an interesting trend in my experience with the Wacom. I've either been really happy or really disappointed. That's fair. Everyone knows I was disappointed with the Wacom 1 pen tablets. I was not happy with them. I was very happy with the Cintiq Pros. Intuos Pro 2025, I think I'm very happy with, but it's just hard to judge between the 27 and the 25. Yeah, so we'll see. I feel like I'm going to be happy with these tablets. Not to be, I need to bring up my graphic that says Wacopium, not to inhale the Wacopium, but I feel like these will be very good, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. Okay, everyone, I'm going to shut down the stream. I want to thank everyone who was in chat and joined and left. You're an amazing audience. It really energizes me to do these streams, and I'm going to do more of them, especially when these two tablets arrive. Feel free, please join the Discord. It's the place where, and let me just put the Discord invite so everyone knows what I'm talking about. Give me a second and I'll add it there. All we do is talk about tablets all day. Can you believe that? Copy link address. There's a Discord link for anyone. Adi, I just pasted the Discord link. Everyone, have a great day or night, and thanks so much for being part of this community.